Hey Chasers, ChaseRare here, and welcome to the Chase for collectibles, experiences, and other rare finds. And today, we're going to be reviewing Thy Geekdom Con 2025. Now this is Greater Philadelphia's anime, gaming, and pop culture convention. If you've never been before, well, you're in luck. This is actually my first time attending, so let's see what they have to say about what the con is. They describe it as, Thy Geekdom Con will be returning in 2025 for our 10th year anniversary. We will be back at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks, PA halls A, B, D, and E. And so they've got a couple of things here, well, more than a couple. They've got acts, anime, artists, comics, cosplay, crafters, JDM car show, panels, tabletop games, tattoos and piercings, video game, and tournaments. So you could do it all this weekend if you want to see a show, see an anime, and maybe meet some of the voice actors that were in that anime, pick up a couple of comics maybe based off of that anime, get cosplay as characters from that anime, get a tattoo. You could do the whole 9 yards here. So this is Thy Geekdom Con's 10th anniversary, but this is actually my first time attending this convention. I've been to the Expo Center once before, but that was for a Pokemon regional tournament. And for that, I was actually late the first round because I went to the Pennsylvania Convention Center, and then I had to drive back. That was back when we had like Lily, Cynthia, Solgaleo GX, Gardevoir GX, Zora GX, back in the whole like Sun and Moon era where we had like our GX counters, but that's neither here nor there. So the convention halls, like A, B, D, and E, was kind of broken up into those 4 or 5 main areas. They've had like the main lobby, then they had the panels and gaming area, and then they had the vendor artist hall. And each of those areas had a couple of smaller areas within for activities and panels and tournaments. And so like at any con you go to, you can either get your badge in advance or you can get it at the door. And then the earlier you get your badge or pay for registration, you usually get a discount. So if you're going to get it maybe multiple months in advance for the whole weekend, it's probably going to be your cheapest route. And then you can get individual days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, depending on how many days the convention is. And then as the convention gets closer and closer, they usually increase the price for the 3-day pass or 2-day pass, depending on the con, and also the individual days. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to attend on Friday, but I didn't want to have to pay for Friday or so Saturday and Sunday. So I got the weekend pass anyway because that was still the cheapest route. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend Sunday either, but we'll get to that. That's a whole nother story. So even though I got the 3-day pass, I only got to experience Thy Geekdom Con for the Saturday. So once you got in, you can either, if you didn't pay online, you could go to the at-con registration and pay and pick up your badge. But if you paid online, you could continue on to pick up your badge. But either way, the line would wrap past the official merch table. So that way, if you want to pick up any official merch for the con, like the hats and the beanies and the mugs and little desk ornaments, and then past that, you keep going. You could go and see, they'd had like the bag checks, making sure you weren't bringing in anything illegal, making sure if your weapons, your cosplay wasn't actually real weapons. And then they actually gave you a little snack as you went into the con. And so from here, it actually split into 4 areas. You could either go to the tabletop room where they would have like the different trading card game tournaments for like Pokemon or One Piece or Dragon Ball. You could go to the manga library if you just wanted a little quiet time. You wanted to maybe read some manga you haven't read before, you don't own. You could continue to the exhibit hall where they would have the different vendor and artists, the car show, and the voice actor autograph sections. Or you could continue to the panels and gaming area where they would have the different tournaments and the different panels talking about different topics and discussions and Q&A. And so I started off with the gaming area, which was immediately to your left as you came in. And that's where they were taking all the different signups. So they were having signups for like Tekken 8, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Street Fighter 6, and Mortal Kombat 1. Unfortunately, Marvel Rivals, well, not unfortunately, but, well, for a fighting game, the FGC is concerned, Marvel Rivals has taken up all of my time. And so I have not, my rank has decayed in the only game I actually played on this was Street Fighter 6. And so, I mean, I probably would have still signed up if I had showed up on Sunday, because that's when they had the Street Fighter 6 tournament was on for Sunday. And then I would just been playing, my bottom tier character Lily, at least until Elena comes out. So I'm gonna try her out and play her and try to master her when she comes out in Street Fighter 6. But I guess if the Street Fighter 6 tournament was full, then I'd probably play Smash Brothers, which I have even less practice in recently. And then I would just go to my fallback, which would be Yoshi in that. And then as we continued into the gaming area, that's where we had the pachinko machines, which was pretty cool because every gaming area at every con is different. Sometimes they have consoles or arcade machines or pinball machines, but very rarely do I see like pachinko machines. So this was different, and you could actually pay to play. It was like $10 for 30 minutes, but they're very nice. Like if you're on a lucky streak, hitting the high scores, it wouldn't like immediately kick you off. It's like, oh, spend 30 minutes, hop off. And they actually had one guy who's constantly there, coming back, getting high scores, beating his high scores, getting all the different win screens. And then I actually interviewed them. They were the Fat Guy Amusements, and it was like a $40 operation. So they would like import the machines, and they would tell me about all the different like state rules and regulations, because it's like, well, is this gambling? Is it a game of luck or chance? And how do you make money off of this? And what their future plans were, kind of the difficulties of bringing these machines to different conventions and how they're going to get into more conventions. So I got an interview with them, and I'll put that in a separate video. But it was cool. They had like a gyro machine, they had a Lupin the Third machine, Avengers, and then as you were getting high scores, maybe like the shield would raise or the little gun would raise. And so I think the one guy who was constantly coming there, he would get to see all the different cool animations as you get to high scores. And then, past the pachinko machine, they had a couple of indie people showing off their indie games. They had the consoles on 3Play, like you could play like PlayStation or Wii or Xbox. They had the various like either single player or multiplayer games, and then they had those little mini arcade machines with like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and like Pac-Man and Asteroids and stuff like that. Then immediately past the gaming area, that's where you started with the panels, and they had like panel room A, B, and C, but they weren't really rooms, because this expo center is kind of like a big exposition center. It's not in a hotel or a convention center where they have like the separate rooms and the separate levels. It was all one level, with a few walls in between each thing or curtains, but there wasn't like a door you would have to go into like panel room A or panel room B. So there was like, that's the pro. You could just walk straight by. It's like, okay, I'm done playing my game at the pachinko machine and my tournament's up. You could just walk by and see what's happening in the panel room. You can see if there's any seats. You can see who's talking or what's going on, without having to like get in line and open the door and peek in and maybe disrupt the panel. But I guess the downside is if one panel is a little bit louder or quieter than the other ones, you might get distracted by hearing their conversations in literally the area right next to you. I only noticed this during one of the voice actor panels right before the masquerade. Because it's only like maybe one or two people talking, like the voice actor talking at a time, and then the audience is listening to what they have to say to the question. But then the other panels, they're getting hyped to listen to music, they're dancing, and so like you get the urge to look over, like, what's going on over there? But it wasn't too much of a distraction. But yeah, it's something that doesn't come up too often in like other convention centers. So it's a slight negative there. Then yeah, I got to panel C, got to talk to the people organizing the cosplay hall contest and the masquerade. And so that was going to start at like 5 that day on Saturday. So I had time to walk the hall, maybe get some interviews in, get a little shopping in, because I wanted to make sure I was able to record the masquerade and the hall contest and hopefully interview some of the cosplayers. And so as you continued past the gaming and the panels area, you could go either back to the main hall and then go to the exposition hall, or you could walk past the main stage. And so this was I say as a positive because it made it all seem like it was one connected con. Because usually when I go to conventions, it's like, okay, I need to go see the AMV contest. Like, where is that? I need to go like up here or down there, through this hall, find the panel room. Is this it? Nope, this is the wrong room. Like, this con was very open. There wasn't like any like closed doors or closed hallways. And so you could literally just walk straight from the gaming area, past the panels, past the main concert, main hall. I could see the people performing. They had like a little like relaxation area with people in like chairs and bean bags, charging their phones and chilling out. And then you could keep walking straight into the exposition hall. There wasn't like a need for like a map or a guide. It was all like, oh, it's like right over here. So that was a different change of pace. And, you know, as you walk the artist hall, they had a little bit different variety than I see at a lot of conventions. So they had like anime merch, but they also had comics. They had toys, games. They even had a pickle vendor. I got to talking to him, picked up some taco flavored pickles. They had custom clothes. So they had a guy who was like a illustrator or painter, and he would have like custom clothes he had painted on and different apparel. And then they had one table doing like custom rugs. And I don't just think you could see them like kind of like in this vein, but this is from Anime Gear Guru. But I think they had like characters from different anime or video games or cartoons. And I think they were also taking like custom commissions, like you could give them the PNG or SVG, and then they would make the rug for you. So that was cool. And then I ran into my convention Oshi, anime ceramics. And so I have no issue with prints or stickers or buttons. I'm even subscribed to a couple Patreons for those. For like, one guy does exclusive his art on like trading cards. And so he gives you cards each month. But I like when people are doing something that is unique to the con, something you can't get everywhere, something you can't just buy on their website or buy online. I actually got one of her mugs right here for my water. It was like the mega mug. But yeah, so I got to do, she does handmade, Moholaka glazed pottery, mugs, and tiles. And so I got to do an interview with her, kind of going into her con experience, because it was actually her first year going to Thy Geekdom Con as well. So we got to talking about the kind of what goes into the con experience, being like an artist and then also a vendor, what her future plans were, what were some of her favorite projects she's worked on, what was coming up new in the future, and then maybe what was her favorites that she'd made so far. So I'll put that interview in a separate video as well. And then I actually picked up one of the new things maybe that I hadn't seen her do before was she does like these different tiles that you could use as coasters. She uses like one character on a tile. Like I have 4 of them where it's got like, one has Android 18 on it, one has got like Sailor Moon, got Gon from Hunter x Hunter, I've got like Dark Magician Girl, and it's usually like, you know, one tile, one character. But something she did that was new to me was it was one larger picture broken down into the 4 tiles. And so it was like an interconnecting puzzle that made one picture. So that was pretty cool. So I picked that one up. And then, yeah, I'm like I said, she's like Con Oshi. So whatever she makes, if it's something new and innovative and crazy, I'll pick it up and add it to my collection. And then as you leave the vendor and artist alley section, now you're in the back end of that hall where you have the body mod art section and the car show and the autographs. And so in the body mod market, that's where you could go and get like tattoos live right there on the show floor. Like I see people like laid up, getting, tattoos on their legs or their arms or whatever they wanted to do. There was multiple booths giving people tattoos or piercings. And then right next to the body mod market, they had the car show. So they had a couple different groups and organizations kind of showing off their cars. Some were, anime related, where they had different anime characters on them, either decaled on the car or decorated with the colors and their stickers. They might have the little plushies or characters in the car themselves. And then some were just very nice, souped up cars, not anime related, but just detailed well and are customized well for the show floor. And then as I was finishing up in that area, I noticed a couple of them were branded with no hard feelings. And so I was able to do an interview with them. They were a local car show group. And so they would have like each family member, each friend member in the group had their own custom car that they customized to their style and aesthetic, whatever they liked, whether it be Iron Man or the Joker or just whatever cool colors or styles they were into. And they had their car in that area in the show. And so I kind of got an interview with them to see like, okay, what goes into this process, what got you into customizing cars, how does it work to get your cars into the convention, and what's the future plans for No Hard Feelings. So I'll put that interview in a separate video as well. And then in the same areas like the body mod market and the car show, that's where they had like the standard con fare where you can grab lunch or dinner or whatever. And that's where they had like the burgers, the fries, the chicken tenders. So I grabbed a cheesesteak. I think it was like $14, $12. It was fine, rather than, because there's not really anything close to the Expo Center. I think there was like a gas station near, like across the street near the parking lot. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to either bring something or just be prepared to pay to get something at the con. And so in the same area as the body mod market and the car show, that's where they had like the lunch area. There weren't, or at least I didn't notice, there weren't like food trucks or multiple tents selling food. It was kind of just the one booth in the Expo Center, like the official one. And so, the standard con fare where they had like the burgers, the French fries, the chicken tenders. I think I grabbed the cheesesteak. It was like $14. It was good. But so definitely either be prepared to buy the con fare or make sure you pack a lunch. And then that's when I was like, okay, getting ready to do the cosplay masquerade. Let me go into that area. That's where they were finishing up one of the panels. And so they had two of the voice actors. It was Joel McDonald and Kieran Flitton. And they were they were the leads for Initial D and MF Ghost. And so they were like comparing their roles between these two different car animes. And then that's kind of where I noticed that some of the panels could be louder or quieter than others. And so as people were asking them questions, they were getting ready for the masquerade next door, and I could kind of hear them getting hyped up. So that was the only slight negative to the con, is that since the doors weren't closed in that area and they weren't closed to the vendor hall, any abrupt noises could kind of pull you out of the panels. And so after the panels, that's when they started the masquerade and hall contest for the cosplayers. And we started with the masquerade, which had 20 plus performers. And this was both solo, duets, and groups. Some of them were choreographed dance, others sang, and some even did sketches. And then after the masquerade, they had the hall contest, where you could get on stage, show off your craftsmanship of your cosplay, strike a pose, and then you continue on and show off the rest of your cosplay and continue on the stage. So after all the contestants walked across the stage, that's when they did the awards for the hall contest. And that was split up into 4 or 5 different award categories. There was the Judges Award, and so that's if you didn't win in your different skill level category, but the judges saw something in you, they saw potential, maybe this was your first year of competing, but they liked where you were going, and so each of the 3 judges gave out a Judges Award. But then they also had the youth craftsmanship, so depending on if you were younger, if you're there with your parents, and if it was maybe your first year competing or you hadn't won before, you were in the youth craftsmanship category. Then they had, I think this was purely based off of your craftsmanship level, how long you've been doing it, how many times you competed, and if you've won before. And so they had the novice craftsmanship, they had the journeyman craftsmanship, and then I think if you've competed a long time or if you've won before or your skill is just that good, then they had the master's craftsmanship. And so after they gave out all the awards for those different levels, that's when they went into a little karaoke break. And so if you had a song you wanted to sing or something you wanted to perform real quick, they did a couple of different songs for karaoke. And that gave the masquerade judges some time to do their like final deliberations and figure out who was going to win in each level. And then once they gave out all the awards and the gifts and prizes for the masquerade contest, that was the end of the masquerade and the hall contest this year for Thy Geekdom Con. And so this leads into why I missed Sunday. So I already knew I wasn't going to be there Friday, but I got the weekend pass to save money. So I was like, okay, I'll just come for Saturday and Sunday. And so I had my motel reservation. Check-in time was at 3, but I hadn't actually checked in yet. The con started, I think, like 9 or 10. I showed up to the con at like 12 and did the whole walkthrough, interviews, recording, and shopping. But now it's like, oh, wait, I need to actually check in and make sure there's no issues with my room, because there was other things I wanted to see still. There was the I needed to get my 18 plus wrist strap. And so most of the panels, most of the things you could do at the con, you could just walk around with no issues. But there are a few panels and a few shows that explicitly you have to be 18 plus. And so on my way out of the con, I showed my ID and got my 18 plus wrist strap because I wanted to see the OMG, WTF, did I just watch 18 plus panel. So I think they were going to show either commercials or skits or shows that were like crazy or wild. And then there was also the cosplay burlesque show, which I've been to one before years ago for like, I think it was like NacoCon or KatsuCon or something like that. So I figured I'd go to that and compare. Maybe it was even the same troupe, and see what that was all about. But either way, those weren't until like 9 and 10. And so I was like, okay, perfect time to actually check in, charge up my batteries, offload some of the footage, and just prepare for those shows and activities later on today. Unfortunately, when I got to the motel, I was informed that even though my card was on file, and I told them they could charge my card, I needed to be there and checked in before 6. And since it was 8 and I hadn't come by before 6, they had canceled my reservation and given my room away to a different guest. And then this actually happened to somebody else. Like as I was checking Expedia, I was like, wait, did they cancel it? Like, no, it says my reservation is still here, but they didn't charge my card. And as I was looking that up, a couple came in, same issue. They were about to try to check in, and they were informed that, yeah, you're always supposed to check in at like 4 to 6. We gave your room to somebody else. And so now I'm in this situation where, well, there's other things I want to do tonight, but I'm like 3 hours from home. I can either get a room at a different hotel or motel, but I think the cheapest one at the time was like $400+ at like, I think the Hampton or Hilton. And that was just be for the one day because I wasn't going to stay Sunday night. I was going to just stay Saturday night, go to the con on Sunday, and then drive home. So I only need $400 for one day. Seemed a bit egregious for me. I could sleep in my car, but I've been walking around so much and recording and doing interviews, so I was a sweaty mess. And I definitely needed a shower. That was half of the reason why I was going to go back to my room. And so I could not do that to the con goers that Saturday night and Sunday. So sleeping in the car was out of the option. I could drive home, sleep, shower, recharge, and then drive back, which is partially what I did. It was still early. It was only like 8. I'd get home at like 11, whatever, and just hit the hay and then come back in the morning. But unfortunately, I underestimated how ill-prepared I was for this thing. And so my legs were sore. I could barely get out of bed. And so I missed out on Sunday. I didn't come back Sunday. And so I didn't get to see any of the additional vendors and artists. I didn't get to compete in the Street Fighter, the Smash Brothers tournament. I didn't really get to talk to the other people in the body market or some of the tattoo artists. And so I only got to go the Saturday for Thy Geekdom Con. But even though I only got to go the one day, I still enjoyed it. Unlike a lot of cons, this one had a good mix of different artists and vendors and dealers. They had comics, they had video games, they had anime, they had toys. They had one guy selling pickles, so I got some like taco flavored pickles. They had people selling different trading cards. I even picked up a few different Pokemon cards. I've got like the Breaksin and the Flaffy. That's my next collecting goal, is to try to get all the different illustration or trainer calorie cards where it has like the different Pokemon just chilling and hanging out with their trainer, like the Rock Ruff or the Dredagon. So I picked up a few of those. They're cheap, $1 to $5. So it shouldn't be too much of a stretch to get them all. I think maybe the most expensive of this type of rarity card is like $50. But then obviously you start getting from trainer gallery to the illustration. That's when you get into the more expensive ones where it's just the Pokemon. It's like full art. Those are like hundreds to 200s and up. We're going to start small with these, and then we'll build up the collection and the goals as we go. But I picked up some of those. I grabbed the tiles from Anime Ceramics. So the thing she was doing this year was the different one picture, but split up between the individual tiles. And so she had a deal going on for 4 tiles. It was one beautiful picture split between the tiles, so it seemed like a no-brainer for me. And then yeah, whatever she brings, I'll usually try to pick up something, add it to the collection. So yeah, I would definitely, for their 10th anniversary and for my first year attending, I still enjoyed myself, and I would definitely come again for their 11th and future anniversaries. But next time I'll be more prepared. I won't wait until the weekend of to make any reservations or plan. Maybe I'll apply to actually be pressed next time and see what I get out of that. But I still enjoyed myself seeing all the different vendors, walking the hall, seeing the cosplayers, seeing the people preparing for the Beyblade tournament that I also missed out on, seeing the people playing the video games and the tabletops and the trading cards. So no, I definitely still enjoyed it. I'll come again, and I'd give this one a thumbs up. If you made it to the end of the video, comment down below if you attended Thy Geekdom Con 2025. Let me know what was your favorite panel, what was your favorite performance, and maybe the Masquerade of the Hall contest. Did you get any autographs from any voice actors? Did you get any tattoos or piercings at the con at the Body Mod Market? Did you play any of the tournaments, or maybe even place in the tournaments? Comment down below. But regardless, thanks for watching as we continue to chase what's rare.